joining us. Pranesh, take us through what this affidavit says and what this really implies in terms of how the compensation that was paid out to the Kashmiri Hindus actually happened.
As part of the Times Now campaign to expose and reopen the Kashmir Files, here we are talking about disclosure number 4. Over the last 2 days, we've seen 3 big disclosures, and this is disclosure number 4, Madhav. And just focus on the words carefully. 19th November 1997, this affidavit was submitted by the then Congress government. And look what was said to the NHRC. This proves that the Congress lied about the genocide in Kashmir, not once, but twice in 2 years. Let's focus on the words. The words displaced person and refugee have totally different implication, said the center in its submission to the NHRC. Let's go to the next point. They said terms used for a person who migrated to India as a result of disturbance. Then they said this situation does not arise in the present case, while the reality was that the Hindus were singled out, brutalized, pushed out of their homes, driven out of homeland, but the Congress remained in denial. And then they said, keep in mind, many Hindu and Sikh families continue to live in the valley. This was their justification, Madhav. This was the explanation. Then in the affidavit, they said government is of the view that the word migrant is more appropriate. So the genocide was dubbed migration, not ethnic cleansing, and the Hindus did not even get the victim status of a refugee. The Congress government in complete denial.
All right, thanks so much, Pranesh, for bringing us that comprehensive update. Let's in fact take this across now to Ashwani Kumar Chrungoo, who is in fact from the Pannun Kashmir. He's a representative of Pannun Kashmir who had filed this affidavit, in fact demanding the refugee status for Hindus. In response to this, the central government had filed this particular affidavit that we had in fact brought just now to our viewers and shown you. Mr. Ashwani Kumar Chrungoo, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us your views on this. Take us through what exactly happened at that point of time. When the centre gave this particular affidavit, what was the impact that it had on the case and the demand for compensation and so on and so forth that you had actually filed with the NHRC? How did it play out then?
It's actually a long journey right from 1990 when we said that the word migrant and migration give a wrong notion about what happened in Kashmir. And we struggled and thought it advisable in 1994, when we went to the National Human Rights Commission with the plea that whatever was done to Kashmiri Pandits should be recognized as genocide. That was our main plea with the National Human Rights Commission. And the National Human Rights Commission sought from us certain documents which we gave to them. Then they also brought into the picture the government of India as well as the J&K government, who refused continuously right from 1994 to 1996 that nothing of the sort of genocide etc. happened in Jammu and Kashmir, particularly in the Kashmir Valley. But in its observation, the National Human Rights Commission under Justice Venkatachalaya in 1997 converted itself into a commission's court and referred the matter of Kashmiri Pandit exodus and ethnic cleansing to the Commission's Court. The Commission's Court in June 1999 gave a decision which is very important from all points of view, particularly from the point of view of whether it was genocide, acts of genocide or ethnic cleansing. It said, we have a complete document of that time. I was the president of the group that went to that place, and it said the Commission is therefore of the view that the killings and ethnic cleansing of the Kashmiri Pandits, mind here, that National Human Rights Commission designated the killings and ethnic cleansing as ethnic cleansing must be seen in the context of deeper intent to secure the secession of Jammu and Kashmir state. Then it said that whatever was done as per the Genocide Convention, the Commission is constrained to observe that while acts akin to genocide have occurred in respect of the Kashmiri Pandits, and that indeed in the minds and utterances of some of the militants, a genocide type design may exist. Here, whatever they said, that the crimes of Kashmiri Pandits, grave as they undoubtedly are, with this they also said that the Kashmiri Pandits were not given the reliefs and understanding that they deserve.
Mr. Chrungoo, one last question. What do you think was the mentality of those who actually put out that word displaced person instead of refugee? Because both of them have very different connotations.
That was actually done by them in 1990 itself, when there was the VP Singh government, and the government was led by this Farooq Abdullah in Jammu and Kashmir state. They coined this word migrant in order to give a false notion about what happened to Kashmir. They never wanted to know the world, what actually is happening in Kashmir. It was actually misleading the nation. It was actually misleading the whole world about what happened in Kashmir. Then in 1999, the government had to take a decision. That was to take the National Human Rights Commission decision, in which it said that acts akin to genocide were committed against the Kashmiri Pandits, and a genocide type design may exist.
Right.
Then that, on the basis of that, they had to take the cognizance of it.
Okay.
Rather, they had to take this decision to the logical conclusion by instituting a special crimes tribunal or commission of inquiry, or a court headed by some senior or Supreme Court judge. That was the logical conclusion, which has not been done till date. Now, by this Kashmir Files.
Well, we certainly hope, sir, that at least after you coming on record and speaking to us, certainly hope that those in power will take cognizance and take further action on the same. Thank you so much for joining us, because clearly it's been a very long and a difficult road for the Kashmiri Hindus, or the Kashmiri Pandits, as they are also called. Let's take this across now to our guests who are with us. We have with us Charu Pragya, spokesperson of the BJP. Amit Raina, Kashmir Activist, is with us. Champak Kalita is a spokesperson of the AIEDF. With us is also Ashwani Handa, senior Congress leader. Mohammad Asif Suhail is a political analyst and social activist. I want to come across to you first, Amit Raina. Amit Raina, what really is the idea behind, defining a displaced person as a migrant? This seems to be a cover-up that is being attempted, because this is a government's affidavit before the National Human Rights Commission. It doesn't get bigger than this.
See, in the stages of genocide, while the first one starts with classification, it ends with denial. So the state has been on constant denial, and that is why it's called genocide. They have been constant denial to what happened to Kashmiri Pandits in Kashmir. And forget the classification. They have been calling us migrants. Now, all of us know what migrant means. They did not even call us displaced. Forget calling us internally displaced people, victims of genocide, victims of ethnic cleansing. They are calling us migrants. That means we are people who willingly left Kashmir, came out for some greener pastures in other part of the country. Then the second part is support and not punish the people who have been guilty behind the genocide. Yasin Malik has 24 FIRs against him, 6 in Pota and Tada, 5 under Section 302. And other, he is has collaborated in others. 24 FIRs till 2002. Trust me, it took us years to get this collaborated, because every RTI was refused. Every police officer we went to refused to answer. Finally, we found a way, and we have document today of each 24 FIRs that were lodged against him. There's not a single case which has moved forward. There's no conviction. There's not even a case that has moved forward.
Let me take that across. Let me take that across to the other political leaders. Ashwani Handa, who's a senior Congress leader. Mr. Handa, your party has been in power, has shared power with the NCP, with the NC and the PDP in the past. But why has there been no action taken? Why have successive governments dragged their feet?
साल से भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार है, और मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि अग्निहोत्री जी ने आज देश के सामने सच लाने की कोशिश की है अपनी इस कश्मीर फाइल्स की वजह से। आज देश को ये पता चला है कि पिछले 32 सालों से कश्मीरी पंडितों के साथ क्या हुआ, और ऐसा किसकी सरकार के चलते हुआ, ये आज
लेकिन आपकी पार्टी इंसाफ क्यों नहीं ला पाई सर? सवाल ये उठता है, आपकी पार्टी सरकार में रही है, कांग्रेस सरकार में रही है जम्मू कश्मीर में, गुलाम नबी आजाद मुख्यमंत्री भी रहे हैं। अगर आपकी पार्टी का यही पोजीशन है तो इंसाफ क्यों नहीं दिला पाए?
उस समय भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी की समर्थन की सरकार थी और आज भी भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार है। तो ये सवाल जो है वो सरकार से पूछा जाना चाहिए, भारतीय जनता पार्टी से पूछा जाना चाहिए कि 6 लाख के करीब इस वक्त आबादी है कश्मीरी पंडितों की जो विस्थापित हैं, लेकिन उनमें से भी 1 लाख कश्मीरी पंडितों को ही अधिकार है कि वो अपना वोट डाल सकते हैं। तो ये भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने
एक छोटा सा आप फैक्चुअली करेक्ट है, लेकिन छोटा सा एक पॉइंट बस यही है क्लैरिफिकेशन का कि इन 32 सालों में से करीब 28 साल बाकी पार्टियां रही है बीच में इन पावर, बट आई एम गोइंग टू लेट चारू प्रज्ञा रिस्पॉन्ड टू दैट। चारू प्रज्ञा, एट द टाइम दैट द जेनोसाइड हैपेंड, there was a BJP supported government at the center. There is now a government that is ruled by the center even now over here, and the BJP is in power. That's the argument coming in from the Congress person. He says that BJP must answer why action was not taken.
Madhav, the exodus didn't happen in one night. It happened over a period of months and years, and it happened first in a subtle way and then in an obvious and a horrifying manner. So it is unfair to pinpoint to one person and say iski galti hai. The second thing I want to say is there was a prime minister who openly said Kashmir mein halat kharab hai lekin Farooq ji mere dost hain. What does this mean? This means that there was a government which would rather hide the truth, bury the truth of people losing their lives, losing their homes, losing everything they held dear and holding on to terrifying memories for the rest of their lives. They buried all of this. Why? Because there was one friendship to maintain which mattered more. This friendship mattered more than justice. This friendship mattered more than the responsibility they should have been bearing as leaders of our country. Another thing is, who allowed this extremism to rise in the valley? Who allowed that ideology to take root in such a horrifying manner that, the kind of things that you see in the movie. First of all, everything that is in the movie is the absolute truth. It is based on real testimonials. It's based on real people. And those people who say that the movie is not the truth should actually just Google certain names. You can start with Justice Ganju. You can Google him. You can find out everything that had happened in the movie is the absolute truth. So today you're calling it propaganda. Yesterday you wanted to bury it. In the middle you have given in writing that the exodus never happened. The Hindus left of their own free will.
Okay.
So I am sorry, I don't understand how anybody's value system can allow them to lie in such an extreme manner over something as critical as
I want Mohammad Asif Hussain Sohail to come in on this. Mohammad Asif Hussain Sohail, how is it possible that a government in the year 1997 says this to the National Human Rights Commission? And end of the day, if what was done during the BJP regime, as the Congress spokesperson was saying, was so wrong, there was plenty of time to rectify it. There were at least 2.5 decades in between, sir. Why was that not done? Why were there repeated attempts to protect killers such as Yasin Malik and Bita Karate? We all know what happened when Mr. Umar Abdullah was in power.
Yeah, that's true. What happened is very painful, but we should not forget the non-Kashmiri Hindus, and more than 1 lakh Muslim has been genocide over there till now from the independence. We have to remember that there are many files, Delhi files, Gujarat, Muzaffarpur, we need to consider that.
Come on, please, Mr. Asif Hussain Sohail.
Let me come.
Please, let's not even go down that road of one riot justifying another, one act of violence justifying another. We are simply talking about what happened in Kashmir, sir, because, otherwise there is no end to this debate. We are specifically talking about what happened in Jammu and Kashmir. Please stick to the subject at hand.
No, madam,
And please answer on this NHRC affidavit. Migrant and displaced person who chose to cover up the genocide. Who chose to cover up the genocide, Mr. Mohammad Asif?
See, I started my statement saying what happened is wrong and it's very painful. But we should not forget the non-Kashmiri Pandit also. More than 1 lakh Muslims.
Please stick to the subject at hand. Please stick to the subject at hand.
The BJP government was there. What they did.
Okay, Amit Raina wants to quickly rebut you. Amit Raina, quick response and go across to Champa Kalita. Quick response, 30 seconds.
If I get a chance,
Yes, Charu, I'm coming to you. I want Amit Raina to come in now.
And BJP, how they are dividing India.
This is very unfair saying that, you went through this, but others also went through this. Have I ever said, has Kashmiri Pandit community ever said that others don't deserve justice? Why are you benchmarking it against me? If there's a crime against them, they deserve justice.
Okay, let me bring in Champa Kalita now. Champa Kalita, can one riot even justify another? I mean, I don't even want to go down that road, but the question that is being asked over here is this, that at this point of time, what we are bringing out is an affidavit that in fact tries to distinguish between a migrant and a displaced person. Why is that difference sought to be given out? Why is the impression sought to be given out that there was no genocide? There was no violence that forced these people out of Kashmir?
देखिए, अगर आप जेनोसाइड के बारे में बोलेंगे तो वहां तो 5% कश्मीरी पंडित मरे हैं और 95% नॉन कश्मीरी पंडित मरे हैं, जहां गवर्नमेंट ने बताया है। और जहां तक अगर आप इस पिक्चर
Sir, you are repeating what the Congress in Kerala had put out on the Twitter. I think there's been a lot of national outrage on that. I think if you're going to go back to this kind of, all right.
Can I?
Okay, quick 15-second rebuttal from you, Charu Pragya. Quick rebuttal,
Madhav?
because you know this kind of argument.
So
you know,
first of all, anybody who
just is
brings in
mind-boggling.
this,
Sir, not at all.
it's a non-argument. It's a
mind-boggling, sir.
non-argument.
It is mind-boggling. A human being has been killed, and you're reducing it to a statistic and distinguishing on the basis of religion.
Can I?
The Hindus were completely chased out of their homes, and you're reducing it to statistics, sir. That is what is absolutely shocking about what you're doing. Charu Pragya.
Tell me one non-Hindu who could not go back home. Tell me one person. They are where they are. Their families were raised in their homes. All Kashmiri Hindus were displaced. They cannot go back home. Even till now, they think 10 times whether they want to relive that horrifying night to even.
We'll just have to leave it there. Charu Pragya, Amit Raina, Champa Kalita, Ashwani Handa, Mohammad Asif Hussain Suhail. I'd have to leave it there for the moment. We all have seen the kind of arguments coming in. Let's now look at what the governments will do in terms of ensuring justice for those who suffered in the early 90s.